Uh, the story of this chapter is that this chapter will be giving you the the understanding of the modern business environment, and it will give you understanding by first defining what normally a business environment was like in the past, and then how it is different now, and what are the various the factors which have which have made the business environment to be changed. Primarily, it would be focusing on the technological advancement which have changed the business environment. So, the modern business environment, they have given it the name of the ecosystem. The ecosystem, that term has been borrowed from biological sciences and natural sciences, and where the concept of ecosystem was you also might have heard it a lot of time, that the ecosystem of the world, and we when we were in our early classes, there were the the pictures which were showing that it rains, then then the forest grows and the animals are there, one animal eats the other animal, and then there was a cycle of each and everything which was complementing each other, and there that the whole the participants, or all factors of that ecosystem were actually helping to stabilize that ecosystem. When we say that deforestation is not allowed, that the governments are discouraging deforestation, and as you might remember that in Pakistan we had some time ago there was a campaign to plant the trees here, a billion, I don't know, billion tree something the name of that campaign was. So the idea was to support the natural ecosystem, because in this whole ecosystem of the nature, everything got its importance. If that thing would be disturbed, the whole ecosystem would be disturbed. Now, the same concept has been replicated in the business environment. So, in the business environment, there are various companies, whereas various organizations operating. There are various stakeholders, we normally call them. They interact with each other, they influence each other, right? And sometimes they compete with each other, the other times they collaborate with each other. So every industry has got its own ecosystem, where it's like the participants or the stakeholders would be playing their role in order to keep a balance in that whole ecosystem. uh, this approach is a kind of a more integrated approach towards analyzing the business environment of any company. Whereas in the past we were doing almost all the activities in order to analyze the participant or the stakeholders of any business, but that was like a scattered approach. So in this chapter, we will study that how we used to analyze the business environment in the past, and how the now the technological changes has affected on our business environment and changing its shape, and now what are the new tools to analyze the new business environment. So it would be comparatively a little bit a complex topic, because you're gonna see the terminologies which you might have not read in the past. That's why I was encouraging you to have a look at that chapter, just a quick look at the book. So when you come to the class, you if you would, then you when I will teaching you, you would be listening it with a more inquisitive mind, and you would be asking the question. Now, how this chapter would be related to your case study? Uh, Focus it now. The focus on what I'm going to tell you. Like, this is the question of the Hassan as well. This would help you to understand the business environment of your the company, the pre-scene company for which material has already been given. So this chapter will help you to understand that the trainer is the name of the company. You know, what is the ecosystem of the trainer? Okay, what is the competitive environment there? What are the various stakeholders there in its ecosystem, and how those stakeholders are influencing each other, how they are creating value for the customers, right? So, this chapter will prepare you to understand the ecosystem of the trainer and the executive training industry, right? So after reading this chapter, when I will not obviously start analyzing your pre-scene right after reading this chapter. We will go ahead, we will finish our book. And yes, please.
कामरान साहब आपकी आवाज काफी डिस्ट्रॉय हो रही है।
uh, ये अफाक साहब कह रहे हैं या कौन? हसन
मैं
साहब?
आफाक
अच्छा,
मैं कह रहा हूँ, अगर
अफाक
कोई
साहब
और
आप
किसी और को भी इशू है तो काइंडली बता दे, अदरवाइज मुझे अपना नेट कनेक्शन चेक करना पड़ेगा। थैंक यू।
आप मोबाइल पे हैं या लैपटॉप पे हैं?
हाँ, मैं लैपटॉप।
आप लैपटॉप पे हैं? आप वाईफाई से, आई डोंट नो। अब और किसी को मेरी आवाज में सुनने में मसला आ रहा है? किसी को भी प्लीज जरा बता दें।
नहीं,
आवाज असल असल
क्लियर है।
अच्छा,
क्लियर है
असल
सर।
में ना, ये जो ऑनलाइन क्लासेस है ना, इसके लिए थोड़ा सा इंटरनेट कनेक्शन स्टेबल होना चाहिए। आई नो दैट कि बार दफ़ा ना मैं एक दफ़ा ट्रैवल कर रहा था, तो मैं लाहौर से मैंने क्लास ली, तो मुझे वो शुरू करके 15 मिनट बाद ख़त्म करनी पड़ी, क्योंकि मेरा अपना कनेक्शन जो था वो बहुत ख़राब था। तो वो इसमें ज़ाहिर है कि आपके साथ स्क्रीन भी शेयर हो रही होती है, तो वीडियो भी जा रही होती है, ऑडियो भी। तो आपके इंटरनेट कनेक्शन स्टेबल होना चाहिए और थोड़ा सा अच्छा हो, तो फिर यू वुड बी ओके। तो चले, मैं आई डोंट नो हाउ आई कुड इम्प्रूव इट फ्रॉम माय साइड। और मैं ये जो हसन साहब वाला भी है ना, मैं इस वीकेंड के बाद आई विल लाइक, मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि उसको भी कर लेता हूँ मैं। दोनों रख लेंगे साथ, वो भी माइक्रोसॉफ्ट टीम भी शायद उसमें कोई बेहतरी आ जाए, तो मैं उसको करके ना आप जनरेट कर दूंगा एक
आप
लिंक
अगर
आप।
चेक कर लें इसको ज़रा ज़ूम पे, तो मेरा ख्याल है ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी, क्योंकि आई हैव बीन रेगुलरली इन मीटिंग्स विद वीएनएचसीआर एंड अदर क्लाइंट्स, तो दे वर यूजिंग
वो
ज़ूम
कंपनी
एंड
में तो
टीम।
अ,
तो
अ,
वहाँ पे मेरे एंड पे भी, क्योंकि मेरे पास अक्सर मैं मोबाइल फ़ोन से कनेक्ट होता हूँ, तो स्काइप पे अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस नहीं होता था हमेशा हमारा। तो वो फिर जूम पे हम गए, तो ये डिस्टॉर्शन वाला इशू ऑलमोस्ट ख़त्म हो गया था।
चले ठीक है। नहीं, जूम तो नहीं, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट टीम का कर लेंगे। माइक्रोसॉफ्ट
हाँ,
टीम में फिर
टीम
दूसरी ऑप्शन।
टीम्स इज
हाँ,
सेम।
हाँ, मैं कर लूंगा, मेरा ख्याल है कि मैं कर लूंगा ये ना। अब वक्त अगर हो रही है ना, अगर एक दो लोग कह रहे हैं कि हमें है मसला, तो शायद उससे कोई इम्प्रूवमेंट आ जाए।
आ जाए।
ठीक है जी।
ठीक है जी।
तो आप जरा माइक
माइक
अपना ऑफ कर लें। चलें चलें जी। तो this ecosystem, like now the application of this whole the chapter and the concept that we are going to study in this chapter is that you this chapter would enable you to understand the business environment of your pre-scene company trainer and its industry, right? So it would give you an idea that how trainer is creating value uh, for its customer with the collaboration and competition with the partner collaboration and competition through the collaboration and competition with its ecosystem partners. So uh, here, like this is a brief a pictorial description of the chapter, the concept of business ecosystem. So introduction and background, we will like having a little bit of introduction and background, as I told you, that in order to understand this concept and how it is different from the traditional concept, first we will have a brief look at the traditional concepts, and then we will move to the concept of the business ecosystem. Then the emergence of ecosystem, we will also learn about the participants and their roles, and then we will see that why it is important to understand the ecosystem and the roles of different participants. Then we will see some related issues to the new business ecosystem, like how the customer expectations have changed, and what are the regulation, or the challenges on of regulating this new business environment. If you are updated, you might have heard about this Bitcoin thing and all the frenzy around it, and those the conspiracy theories, and all, because it has crashed like anything in last few weeks. However, previously it was saying that this currency, it probably would be the future of the world. However, now the one challenge was that how we will be regulating this currency, this digital currency, bitcoins. So governments were governments were quite confused that how to counter this new phenomena. So, what are the business ecosystems? So, again, this would be giving us a little brief about the new ecosystem. So, you need to keep your books up open, or you should have at least your notes with you, so you could understand that where we are studying. So, the traditional approach to understanding the market was a market is a place where two parties can get together to exchange the goods and the services, and those markets are the physical markets and the virtual market. Physical markets are we all know that the all markets, brick and mortar market, and the other markets are the virtual markets, like the online forums from where you could make your purchases. The seller registered to those portals, and or sometimes they do have their own dedicated portals. They would be selling their product there, and the customers would be buying from there. So, but now that technology has affected this marketplace, um, like we know that in the recent past we have seen the emergence of various the technological advancement which have changed the shape of the various market. Let's if we take the example of this cab industry, the this Uber, Kareem, and so many other such applications have actually transformed the shape of the whole of that market. Similarly, we got that Alibaba, which is again online portal where the sellers, they got their own virtual shops. They would be selling their products there. AliExpress, right? So I was talking to a guy, like in fact I went there in China like some time ago, and I was talking to a guy. He told me that I need to go because I need to open my shop. So I asked him that, do you have, where is your shop? He said that I got a virtual shop. So there is a timing. I would be there. I will open it. I will respond to the customer. I will respond to their queries. If there are orders, I would be, making the arrangement for the delivery of orders. So they were treating that, that virtual shop as a, as we treat our normal physical shops. So now the changing business environment, obviously it has where it has given us a lot of opportunities, it has posed a lot of challenges as well, and the organization which are not adopting this new emerging environment are actually vanishing from the competitive landscape. And you must have seen that some of the businesses which are already there, you could take the example of this taxi business. Now, those, if you ever get a chance to travel on a normal taxi and you ask him, he would tell you that their business is almost now finished because because of this new advancement. Like now, everybody is traveling on through booking their, or making their reservation through these apps. So, in the traditional business environment, we were actually analyzing the the markets by deploying some traditional models. The one of such model was the pastel. In a pastel environment, we were trying to see that what are the political influences on the business or the industry where we are operating, in which we are operating. What are the government legislation, government policies, like about some specific businesses. As we know that the government regulation affect the industries a lot. Like if you could recall that here in Pakistan, when the import of those used car, duty on the import of those used car were increased, like the Japanese car, the prices went like up and like anything. Now in the new budget, they have reduced the sales tax on the automobiles, so you would see the impact of it, uh, in the prices. And sometimes the government would put a restriction on some type of the products, so the government or the political here political influence mean that the governments come up with the different policies. Like one government might be having a favorable attitude towards some industry, but the other government might be having a different kind of attitude. Like in Pakistan, when this current government took over, they clamped down on this real estate and construction industry, and the people just pull out their investment, and the whole economy was started to go down. But then they have to announce a bailout package. So this is how the political situation of a country could influence the business. So in your case study, again, we will be seeing that how the political situation, if we get this enough information, then we could analyze that how the political situation of a country could affect the business. Economic influences, the economic developments, both local and international, would be having an impact on your company. Like if the GDP is going down, we know that the demand of our product would also go down there. If the like, especially if we're taking the example of this executive training company, if there would be a boom in that industry, there would be more induction, there would be more requirement of the training. So we could relate it. Social influences, like the social, cultural, and demographic influences. Like in Pakistan, we got a huge portion of our population is a young population. So uh, then the mixture of the sexes, like male and female, traditions. So that would also be determining the, like if you now, although the things are changing, but some time ago, the co-education was not so much encouraged here in Pakistan, and that is a social influence. So, so technological influences, it would be, the changes in the emergence of the new technologies are bringing the changes in your business. Then the legal changes in laws and regulations. If a new regulation is introduced, like here in Trainer, the executive training company, it must be giving the services to the government organizations as well. So the government organization, government is one of the largest consumer of all types of the products, right? So when the demand changes from the government in government consumption, it creates an impact everywhere in every sector. So taking the example of this executive training company, if they are giving the services to the government organizations, so and the government organization, they make some changes. Like they introduce some new law that put like austerity measure, like kind of thing, that the organization would not be spending too much on the executive trainings. So that would be influencing your business. And some other, the legal, it is not like it is just one example. There are certain, the things which might be introduced at the national level as a law, and which could have an impact on your company. Environmental, like how your business is interacting with its environment, a natural environment. So that would also be influencing your business um, as this is considered as the any business which is operating in anywhere. It should not be actually having a detrimental effect on the natural environment of that place, vicinity, or that country. The other approach was to analyze the business traditionally is the Porter five forces model. Here we would be analyzing a business on the basis of five parameters like new entrants. Here the entry to barrier actually, like how easy it is to enter into a business. There are some businesses where the entry is easy, whereas in some businesses, other businesses, the entry is difficult, and that entry is actually defined by the various factors, which includes like the capital requirement, their regulation requirement. There are some businesses where you need to take the licenses, and there is a stringent process associated with getting those licenses. The capital, if a industry is capital intensive, that would also be making the entry into that industry a bit difficult. Then rivalry among the competitor. If there are certain industry where the competition is intense between the the players. So in such a situation, it would be difficult to enter into that business, and the reason is that you will have to compete with the companies which are already operating, and through intense competition with each other, they must have got more efficient. They must have got learned from their experience. So it would be challenging for any a new business. So uh, the that would be defining the entry, as well as if the rivalry is intense, it would require for the company to be more efficient and effective in order to succeed in that industry. Then the substitute of the product or the services which you are producing can be substituted easily. That would make that would be having a more pressure on your company, because you will have to be you will have to differentiate your product, or you would come up with some the strategy where you could sustain your business. Then power of the buyer, then the power of suppliers. Again, it would also be defining the force, like power of the buyer. If your buyer is huge, that he would be having ability to influence your business. Like in case of if you take the example of here, the sugar industry, the sugar mills are the buyer of the sugar cane from the farmers. Now these buyers are concentrated. There are few sugar mills, so that sometimes they would be exploiting their that position, and they would be like buying at a lower rate. So similarly, if your company is um, here if your company's buyer or large, there are few buyers, then they would be affecting your business. They would be having the ability to influence the prices. So in case of your executive training company, your buyers, there might be some huge buyer, there's some government institution which might be taking giving you the bulk of the business, and they might be having the ability to influence your business. So they would ask you for the favorable prices, right, for the services. Then the power of supplier, your supplier, like if your suppliers are concentrated, there are few suppliers, so they would also be having then the ability to influence your business. Then there was another approach to determine the strategy you would be adopting. So this is a kind of, again, a very simple approach. However, in the practical situation, the things would not be that simple. It talks that like you might adopt out of these three strategy. One is the cost leadership. Your business might be competing in the market on the basis of the cost. like you would be offering your price at a lower cost, but it should not be considered as that when you are offering the a lower price, it doesn't mean that you are